jaw may draw. Fuck what you heard, you ain't heard this before.
Hello guys, have you ever wondered how you could play Mario games without having an actual Nintendo 64 or a Nintendo 8-bit? Well, I will show you how. In this video it's actually super simple. There's a few things you need to know how to do, like how to create a folder, finding your C drive, and stuff like that. But that is pretty much everything you have to do. So, let's say you wanted to play a bit of the old Mario. You would obviously need a Mario game, which I will show you where to find in the links down below. And you would need a sort of program to run the game, because you can't just plug in an old Nintendo cartridge in that computer. It simply does not have a slot for it. So the thing you would do is you would probably Google Nintendo emulator. Emulator is the program that runs the Nintendo games, and you will get a bunch of different results. I really have a pretty strong preference here, and that is something called Retro Arch. I know it's probably hated on by some. I really like it. These old emulator discussions can be kind of religious at some points, but if you're new to this might not be the easiest thing to do. But if you just want a solid emulator that emulates a lot of different platforms, I'll go for Retro Arch. It emulates NES, Nintendo 8-bit or Famicom or whatever you're used to hearing, Super Nintendo, Sega, MAME, all kind of really funky consoles that are really awesome. Also PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64, but you might have to do a little configuration, but it definitely works with those. So you go to libretro.com, I will leave a link down below. If you scroll to the bottom, go to the download page. And here you can find the different programs for different platforms. It works on Android, works on Xbox, PlayStation 3, which is really cool if you have a TV set and you want to play some games there. But it requires you to have a jailbroken version of these. But let's go for the Windows one, the 64-bit. In my case, you probably have a 64-bit processor as well, so I would recommend you try this first. Click on it, download it, and it will give you this file, which I will open up now. It is not an installer. So if you're wondering what to do with these files, just drag around them, drag them to a folder, and I recommend you create this folder on your local disk C, or the root folder, whatever you want to call it. Create it here, call it emulator. I already did that. If you don't know how to create a folder, you right click on an empty space, go to new, add folder. Open up emulator, drag the shit over there. That is one part of the battle. The next part will be knowing what the fuck to do in here once you open it up. So let's pretend I had already downloaded a game. I would open this Retro Arch up. It looks like a Space Invader. I could of course make an icon for this and send it to a desktop. You can do this. It's easier to find. It wants to ask you if you really want to run it, you just say yes. From here, it will present you with a menu the first time I will touch any controls, but all you need to know is you use the arrow keys. In the C, like in Zorro, and the X. X is OK, C is no, or back. So you go down to settings, click X. Go to input options, click X. If you have a keypad, this is where you configure it. You can do a configure all, and then figure out how to do it yourself. This will probably be a part of another tutorial, but it's really not difficult. Or you can just remat the buttons one at a time, which can be also kind of easy. After you've done that, go back by clicking C and save new config. So next time you open up this program, it will have forgotten everything about you, unless you go down to Retro Arch config, click X on it, and then it shows a little date and a number or whatever the format is. I'm not entirely sure. You just open it. There we go. Now it remembers all your stuff. So before we open up a game, we need to download one. So where do we find a game, you might ask? Well, I use a site called... you can just Google Nintendo ROMs. A ROM is the game. There's a site called Cool ROM. I don't really use that too often, but it's really good. It has all the features that this site has, which is called free ROMs. I use this more because I find it easier to use, and it has all the stuff I need. So let's say I wanted to download Darkwing Duck. Click Darkwing Duck. Something I certainly wouldn't do would be to click download. And this might seem really odd, but if I do that straight away, I get a little exe file down here, and this is a downloading program which will download the game for you, but it might also want you to install some sort of toolbars, stuff like that. I never really like having downloaders on my PC, but not like these, so I just waited a bit, and there was a countdown here. Now I can click the direct download. Here we go, Darkwing zip. It has a SNES file in it. Sorry for smacking my lips, I don't know. Go to the root folder, C, make a folder called ROMs. Already have Mario Brothers in there. Drag it over. Now I have 2 games in my library. That's good. Let's see if we can figure out how to run these. Let's go back here. Close all these down. So now that I'm back in RetroArch, I could mess with stuff, make it full screen like that, but I haven't done that. It will not really suit the video too well. So I go into Core, and this is where I choose what kind of system I want to emulate. So this is important for the first use. Click X on it. I scroll down to Nintendo. There are 4 different choices, all are good. Find your favorite. You might have different preferences than me, but I choose Nestopia. I just like that. Click X. Now we go to Load Content, Nestopia. I could choose Load Content History, and it would show me the recently played games I have. Even though I haven't chosen a core, that would work. So we'll just find out what core I had chosen and what game I wanted to run. So if you played Mario Brothers yesterday, you could just go in here and find it on the list. My throat is really sore, so this sound is just me doing some weird stuff, but don't worry about that. Go into Load Content. Go to C. ROMs. It will find the 2 NES files here. Let's go for Darkwing. Now it loads up the game. This was pretty much all you had to do. You should be aware though that in some countries this might be illegal. So I will not suggest you doing this if you are in such a country. If you come from China or another country where it isn't illegal, just go nuts and do whatever you want. You can still find these games if you really want them physically. You can find them on Craigslist and stuff like that, or eBay, and they are not always that expensive, but you can find some really expensive models. But in my opinion, this is just a super easy way of emulating, and once you have RetroArch, you have the ability to emulate all kind of stuff. You can emulate MAME, which was the really awesome Street Fighter machines and all those kind of arcade machines, you know. Space Invaders, stuff like that. Links. PlayStation 1. Virtual Boy. I mean, there's so much WonderSwan. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds good. But it can do some really cool stuff, like if you go into shader options, you can load some shaders here. And let's say we wanted to do some scan lines. Where was this? CRT interlaced. Let's load that. Apply shader changes. I'm not entirely sure that I did this the correct way. Let's just choose a core here. Go down to NES, Nestopia. Load content, see ROMs, Darkwing. You might notice that it looks really different now. If you remember, the old TV screens were kind of bulging a little. Let's just turn down the sound level. Now you have that effect here. There are so many presets, and this also shows the scan lines, which in my opinion makes it look much more awesome. So yeah, you can kind of get the look you want, which is awesome. just remember to rebind your controls, like I showed you. And you're off to play some really awesome games. Challenging games. Games were really challenging back then. So I advise you to do that. You'll have to excuse me though, because I have a little gaming to do now. I hope you learned something new. And if you didn't have a chance to download Shadow of Mordor, at least you have a cheap alternative and a lot of fun to have with these games. Really enjoy them. So yeah, take care guys, and maybe I will catch you another time. If you like this video, like it. If you didn't like it, subscribe. If you think I'm an idiot for mentioning this, don't do either, and leave me a snarky comment. I don't mind. Take care.